everybody. Welcome to ABA Inside Track, the podcast that's like reading in your car but safer. I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, with this very special March 2022 preview episode. But who else is here with me in this fabulous March? What?
Ugh, I have such bad memories of March.
No?
You were going to say when you were like 20, and I was like, whoa, 2020!
Yeah.
Oh,
but
no.
It's 2022. Hopefully things are better than
Hope so.
then. I'm Jackie. I feel like a news reporter. Speaking to you live from the basement. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Diana.
Yes, for those of you out there watching for the first time, or if you haven't seen one of these previews before, this is a preview in which we'll be discussing the episodes that will come out for our podcast, which is about behavior analysis and behavior analytic research.
Oh my goodness!
Every week, except for this
That
week,
was smooth.
we talk about a given topic in the field of behavior analysis and relevant research articles. Now, this week is special because instead of talking about the article contents, we just say the article names so that you can get a head start, maybe read some articles
My
before
favorite,
listening.
actually.
Yeah, or if there's a topic, you're like, better make sure I bookmark that podcast, drag it over to the bookmarks bar. I want to listen to that episode on whatever, what are we doing this month? Bunch of stuff, Grab bag, interrupted chains, all sorts of good stuff. Yeah. And then you can come back and remind yourself, come listen to the full episodes. So that's what we do in these previews, as well as talk about kind of other things related to the show, and sometimes we read emails and what's not. So yes, why don't we get started? No fun gags, because March is the boringest of months.
Beware.
That's right.
Only the Ides. The rest of March is fine.
I don't know what Ides means.
It's the 15th.
Actually.
Okay.
In March, the Ides is on the 15th, but it's not always the 15th. The Ides of each month changes.
What's the Ides?
I don't know. I always thought it meant the 15th, but it maybe means the middle.
Oh.
Well, what I want to say is just beware.
Yes. It may have to do with the lunar calendar. I'm not sure.
But March has 31 days.
Listener,
you round down.
listeners here, watchers, what is an Ide? Bring it into me.
It sounds like one of those old-timey measurements, like how many barrels of this? Or like, so many furlongs. A hog's head's worth.
But anyway.
Okay, would you like for me to tell you the episodes that are coming up?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I can do that for you.
I want to know them.
All right, well, first of all, I need to tell you about something that happened in February, which is that we recorded our book of the...
Our book club.
Our book of the term. And it's coming out in March. When's it coming out, Rob?
It either came out, you might have had a preview right at the very end of February, or right at the very early part of March. I'm still not sure where we're going to drop that in. So either you just listen to the preview and then watch this, or you just watch this and it's time to listen to the preview of the book club discussion.
Gotcha. So everyone who listens to the podcast should have gotten a preview, which is like a short version of this book that we discussed at length, titled Look Me in the Eye by John Elder Robeson, and it is his account of living and then being diagnosed with Asperger's as an adult. And if you are a patron, then you got, or will be, getting the full-length episode in your special patron feed. Questions related to that can be directed to Rob.
Isn't it fun to talk about?
Insidetrack@gmail.com.
Yeah, isn't it so fun to talk about the thing that you hear me talk about all the time, and then when you realize you have to say it, you're like, well, I actually don't know what you say. I just zoned it out every week.
Not sure what I would know. I don't know if I would. And then you do something.
Yum. Patreon. Okay, so that happened, and then in the month of March is a 4-week, or a 5-Wednesday month, so we have 4 episodes coming out in March.
Are any coming out on the Ides is really the question I have.
Who knows?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Because the March 1st is Tuesday. So, there you have that. But the episodes that we will be talking about are as follows. We are going to do a follow-up to our previous episode on token economies, titled Token Economies Part 2. And for this one, the first one we did like light. Token light. Now we're going to go token heavy.
With the way other direction.
Because there's a lot of complex research related to condition reinforcers, and we invited a guest to assist us in that conversation. So the articles that we will be reviewing are a comparison of token and tandem schedules of reinforcement on response patterns for adolescents with autism by Glodowski, Bourret, Ivy, Seaver, Jackson, Stine, and Nuzzolilli in Behavioral Interventions 2020.
2020. And our guest is Dr. Jason Bourret.
Yep. I was going to say that.
Oh, sorry.
We'll say it again
I
anyway.
ruined it.
No, it's fine. Then we have Responding Under Chained and Tandem Fixed Ratio Schedules by Duade, published in the Journal of Experimental Analysis of Behavior, 1973, guys.
That one was a doozy.
Taking it back.
Yep.
Oh, is that it?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had 3. Okay, so that's that's enough.
And our special guest.
Yes, and then
Dr.
Dr.
Jason
Jason
Bourret
will be joining us for that conversation. If you ever worried that you didn't know enough about token schedules, then you should listen to that episode and you will know a lot more.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
It was a bit overwhelming.
Yeah, but I learned a lot.
But you know what? Let us be overwhelmed, and then you can hear the process.
No, it's good. You know,
It's good.
I see
Okay.
J-Ab, I get a little scared. I get like the cold sweat of like, oh, someone's going to ask me some hard questions about pigeon research.
All right. Next up in March, we're going to talk about the interrupted chain procedure.
Fun.
Yep. And we have several articles that we will review related to that topic. The first is Establishing Concurrent Mans for Items in Mans or Information about Location in Children with Autism by Summers, Seidner, DeBar, and Seidner. And that was in the Analysis of Verbal Behavior, 2014. Then we will talk about increasing the man repertoire of children with autism through the use of an interrupted chain procedure by Albert, Carbone, Murray, Haggerty, and Sweeney Kerwin. And that was published in Behavior Analysis and Practice in one of the years in which they didn't put
2012.
2012? Mm-hmm. Great. And then 2 more. The Behavior Chain Interruption Strategy, a review of research and discussion of future directions by Carter and Grunsell, published in the Journal for the Association for Persons with Severe Handicaps, 2001. And finally, Teaching Young Children with Developmental Disabilities to Request More Play Using the Behavior Chain Interruption Strategy by Robert Spinell and Sigafus, and that was published in the Journal of Applied Research in Intellectual Disabilities, 1999.
When I graduated high school.
Oh. So, Diana, when we learn about the interrupted chain, is that going to help us understand cryptocurrencies as well?
I don't know anything about cryptocurrencies.
Oh.
So no.
Do you?
Maybe it was a bad joke because that's the blockchain. I thought it's interrupted chain.
Oh, I didn't get it either.
Man,
I don't know.
You guys
It's
are
okay.
out. Didn't you watch any of those Super Bowl
Rob,
commercials?
I'm worried
I
that
didn't. But I also just found out that sip the tea is like tell me more, give me information. So
What?
yeah.
Sip the
Spill.
tea?
Spill the tea.
Oh, okay.
okay.
I got it even wrong there. Hey, I'm
You know,
cool.
Rob, I don't know, but I'm a little bit worried that you don't love me now. And that you'll never love me again.
Oh,
Because I can still hear you saying, you would
never.
never break the chain.
Oh, I was going to interrupt the chain.
You don't love me now. You know that song?
Yes, I know that song.
Never love me again.
I thought you were going to change the lyrics to be
Me
topical
too.
to
I
the
I did.
episode.
too.
No, it's break the chain.
When you say interrupt the chain, it would have matched better.
Oh,
You
that
say.
did wouldn't run.
We got to work on these bits before
Yeah, I'm so
recording. I
sorry.
think.
It's
Sorry,
March.
everybody.
I thought it was pretty good.
It's March.
I thought it was.
I don't know anything about cryptocurrency though.
No.
Okay,
No, nobody does.
We'll workshop those. Okay, so next we have 2 more topics to go.
Good thing March is so long. We got time.
And the next topic is looking at vocational planning for individuals with disabilities. And there are so many articles to pick from for this episode, which is exciting in that there's a lot to talk about, but we did our best to narrow it down.
I think it will take us. I think it took us longer to decide what articles we were going to do on the show than it probably
Months.
will to read and write notes and to produce a podcast
Months.
on those articles.
We started talking about this in December.
It was very long.
Yeah, it's been
Months.
like a long
This
time.
has been a long time.
Diana
coming.
was not happy. I'd be like, "Come on, let's talk about what research." She'd be like, I don't even remember why we're doing this topic anymore. You frustrated me with your
That's
constant
funny.
additions to the Google Drive.
Okay, but what
Okay.
about?
So the ones that we landed on are a qualitative analysis of the employment needs and barriers of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in rural areas by a whole host of people: Adams, Corbin, O'Hara, Park, Shepherd-Jones, Butler, Umesigabu, McDaniels, and Bishop.
That's a team.
Mm-hmm.
Quite the team. Recent publication 2019 in the Journal of Applied Rehabilitation Counseling.
I love that journal. I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
I'm still doing them. Yep, okay.
Yeah, still go.
A review of the literature on vocational training interventions with individuals with autism spectrum disorder by Campanaro, Glodowski, Menante, Deshays, and DeBar. Ruth's second appearance in our stack of papers today.
Wow.
Published in Behavioral Interventions, hot off the press, 2021.
So I love how you were looking to see if we had more articles after we just talked about how many months it
I don't
took
know,
to
man.
pick. It's like, I think we just got one. The whole thing.
I'm just singing Fleetwood Mac in my head now. I
Okay.
don't even know what I'm doing. Next up, job tips. And tips is in all caps, which may tip you off to something. A transition to employment program for individuals with autism spectrum disorders by Strickland, Coles, and Southern. Published in Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders, 2013.
We do have a lot.
And finally, Twins with Autism. Utilizing video feedback to improve job-related behaviors by Mackey and Nelson in the British Journal of Special Education. There it is, 2015.
So they're behaviors.
Yes, they are, with a U. And then to round out March, because it's a heavy month, we decided that we would do a grab bag episode. We haven't done that in so long.
Mm-hmm.
We've not.
Yeah. So we each picked an episode, or we picked it out of the bag. And I won't tell you whose is whose, but I will tell you what the episodes are.
You mean the journal articles?
What did I say?
You said episodes.
But you meant journal
I
articles.
guess you could have made
Never
it.
break the
A lot of
chain.
times there are articles that maybe we've done an episode on and we have like one follow-up article, or we could probably do a full episode. You're just going to keep going?
Going
Okay.
somewhere.
So one of the articles is titled Examining Stereotypy in Naturalistic Context, Differential Reinforcement and Context-Specific Redirection by Steinhauser, Ahern, Foster, Jacobs, Doggett, and Goad. That was published in JABA 2021.
You should, before you listen, decide who did what.
That's right, you should
That's always fun.
take a guess.
Mm-hmm.
Next up is Effect of Assignment Choice on Student Academic Performance in an Online Class. That's by McNall, Garcia, Sivadina-Moda, and Thacker, published in Behavior Analysis and Practice, also 2021.
Just really bringing it at home.
And then finally, Research and Training Priorities of Staff Supporting Individuals with Intellectual Disabilities with or Without Autism in the, Simpson, Adams, Manicara, and Malone, published in the Journal of Policy and Practice in Intellectual Disabilities, also 2021.
Yay, we did
Yep.
it. 2021.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Now
so
we're in 2022, so they're a little bit outdated.
Well,
I mean,
you
get
know,
with the program.
what are you
guys.
going to do?
So a lot happening
Mm-hmm.
All
in
right.
March.
Whew.
Yeah.
Thank you, Diana.
Oh, you're so welcome.
That brings us up through our March discussion. So let's move into the errata section of the show. This is the part of the show where we talk about any kind of goings on in the ABA Inside Track community, as well as we share emails or other things. And since, again, like I said, it's March, so not that much exciting is happening. I know there are conferences coming up. We have, extra activities that we'll be doing later. But for this month, there's not much going on too big. We have the book club, and I think we'll be doing a poll for patrons for kind of a live episode that we're going to do next month. We're sort of in the middle. Even our Q&A, I think we were doing for March, we were able to set it up so it was even better, but we're not going to do it till later on around ABAI. So March kind of fell into the doldrums a bit. But fortunately, because I thought it would spice things up, zip zap zoop, I thought sometimes we read emails from listeners, but I thought, what we haven't done in a long time is checked out iTunes reviews or Apple Podcast reviews.
Oh,
So I said, I wonder if anyone wrote any.
They have.
And they have. And
Yeah.
some of them are very recent. A lot of 2021 ones. So we're going to do kind of a rapid fire reviews on Apple. I forgot what word I was saying. Reviews from Apple Podcasts. We're not going to go through all of them or anything, but I'm just going to kind of start at the top and it's like, hit, 5 or 6 because they're
How
all...
about just 3?
Well, they're all short, though. They're not like
Okay.
emails.
Okay.
Okay. This one, it was J3808. Makes reading articles much more fun. Great guests and rapport with 3 hosts. Keep up the good work. Thank you so
That's
much.
nice.
Thanks.
Sunshine Listener 16. And again, I'm just going through the list. You know, I read these, but I'm not just picking the best ones or anything. In terms of best ones that make us look
Sure.
the best. No offense
Okay.
to anyone's reviews. I think the discussion and review of articles is informative. It's nice that they find the articles and go over the findings while analyzing the design as well. However, there's a lot of side chit-chat that detracts from the discussion at
That is
hand
true.
and ends up making the podcast longer than it needs to be. Reading the articles may be quicker. Would love to continue listening, but with more focus on the topic. And that's Sunshine Listener 16. Sunshine Listener 16, I hear you. I think one of the challenges is when you're listening to the show, if you're like, I need to get to the nitty gritty, you're right, we do add some chit chat. But when you're recording an episode about a brand new topic that you had to do all the research for so you could talk intelligently of it, if you don't chit chat a little bit, you tend to go a little crazy. So apologies. It's sort of a balancing act for us. We try to stay on topic, but we have to get off just a little bit. I'm sorry. I know it does make the podcast a little bit longer. I apologize. It's kind of just how the show goes. It's sort of the humor, we hope is the humor, the kind of the grease that keeps the podcast wheels a-going. But we understand, appreciate the feedback. Cage J wrote, thoroughly enjoyed listening to this podcast. Really enjoyed episodes about women in behavior analysis and cultural competency. I also enjoyed the live episode on parent training. Learned a lot of new things and feel inspired to make a difference in our field. Thank you for taking the time to make this
Yay.
podcast. Keep up the good work.
Oh, that's super nice.
That's so kind. This one's Tony G76. I just listened to
Tony
episode
G.
79 on teaching tacting. Once I saw that you had the journal articles posted, I read those first, then came back to the podcast. That was by far the most informative podcast I had ever listened to. And
Wow.
I assume Tony G is talking about like
Wow.
Serial and the stuff you missed in history, people freakonomics. Like we're number one. I'm assuming that. You know,
I feel
Yeah.
honored.
let us know, Tony G, if maybe you just meant
This is his
very
first-
specific.
this
Yeah,
is
it's my
his
first
first
podcast. Or like very specifically, podcast with 3 hosts that talk about behavior analysis. Most informative one of those. Through reading the journal articles, I was linked to more references, which is greatly appreciated. I like the side banter. I found it entertaining. I enjoyed hearing your personal thoughts and experiences as it pertained to the topic. I laughed out loud a few times, especially when I was able to see that other people are experiencing the same thing. I also like the references back to Skinner's verbal behavior. I'm going to read it along with a few classmates, thanks to your podcast.
That's nice.
Very
so
nice.
nice.
And again, there are a lot of great reviews
Well,
out
thank you,
there, a lot of great
everyone.
feedback. Thank you so much. We really appreciate the reviews. We appreciate emails that come in as well. But I thought, change it up kind of, like I said, zip, zap, zoom. Gotta
Yeah.
change it up in March.
The last thing I want to say is that we have gotten I don't even know what episode it was in. Do you? In some episode in the
Turn taking?
maybe turn taking,
It must have
I
been.
had made the
Episode
reference.
155.
Yeah, episode 155 maybe.
No, it couldn't have been turned. It was more recent than that.
Oh, I don't know. But anyway,
Leisure?
who knows? But
No.
I made
170?
I don't know, but I made
Perspective I think it was perspective
Perspective
taking.
was really old.
yeah, super old. But it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I made a reference to Chutes and Ladders and how much I hate it because it's so long and there's chutes and ladders and
We got your back, Jackie. We all said
yes,
that we
it's
hate
the worst
Chutes and Ladders.
worst
It is
game
the
I've
worst game.
ever played in my life. And I hate games, and this is the rank the lowest. And so we had a lot of emails, hilariously being like, I feel you. I hate Chutes and Ladders too. It's a horrible game. Except for one, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Verghese, who is not a behavior analyst, but listens to the podcast when he goes to sleep. So that's very sweet. But he said, so he wanted to point this out to all of the listeners, that there was an article, it's not behavior analytic, that showed that kids that play Chutes and Ladders in the longer have better mathematical performance because of like the numbers. So he was like, just so you know, you should
I bet
probably
you could
play
pick any
know.
game with numbers and get a
But-
better result.
But
Or maybe not better result, but at least a similar result.
But it made me so happy because one morning I woke up, he lives not in the United States, and he sent this text, and he was just like, just so you know, Chutes and Ladders. It used to be called Chutes and Snakes.
Or Snakes and
Snakes and
Ladders.
Snakes and
Or
Ladders.
Snakes and... It's an old game. It's a
Yes,
lot
it's
older
a
Yes.
very-
than the Milton Bradley or whatever version that you see
Um,
on the shelves now.
And so he said, he just posted this article because he's a math teacher.
Mhm.
And so just saying, I'm better at math than you probably because I played Chutes and Ladders. And I'm like, maybe. That might have been it. So,
You can stare at the Chutes and Ladders board for that long. You want to get into math.
the
but
new
no.
one's just so... I'm not going to go on
It's bad.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
bad. I mean,
but
as you can see, our non-exciting, the wall that we have behind us. We do play games,
I don't,
so
but they do.
shoots
We
and
do.
ladders is. We know a little bit what we're talking about when we say shoots and ladders no good. Maybe the research says it's helpful, but I think a number game.
I bet you can get to the same result.
Yeah.
I bet
Multiple
you could.
ways, but
I just
we
wanna
did not
say
realize
that.
it would be
No.
such a polarizing topic.
So-
Well, we will have more to say about games. We have an upcoming bonus episode, not in March, because March, and we already have a lot of episodes planned. But we do have an upcoming bonus episode where we talk a little bit more about games and learning around games. So that's a little preview, probably for next month's preview.
Sure.
Preview.
And if we're getting to a preview, it's probably time to wrap up this preview. So we want to say to everyone out there, thank you very much for listening to the show. Thank you for watching this preview or listening, whichever one you are doing. We really appreciate all the feedback we get. If you would like to join in on our conversations, you can find us on social media everywhere as ABA Inside Track. You can leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We always love hearing what people think of the show there. You can email us directly at abainsidetrack@gmail.com. You can find these episodes all posted on YouTube with the YouTube subtitling feature. Go to the website, abainsidetrack.com, for links to all of the articles that we will be discussing this month, as well as all of our old episodes as we creep ever closer to episode 200. If you want even more ABA Inside Track content, you can join us on our Patreon page, patreon.com/ABA Inside Track, where you can get early access to these episodes.
Sorry,
You sneezed. As well as access to our super duper long book club podcast at our $10 premium level, and some other extra stuff. Like I said, we'll have a voting next month for a live episode. We have some Q&As from guests. Lots of fun stuff there. Anyway,
Patreon.
Yum,
Yum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys can do that in April. You can say the spiel.
Wait, I want to say, or you can leave us a 4-star review because I love it when podcasts.
Usually it was a 5-star review,
5-star.
though.
I was like, why
If you feel we deserve a 4-star review, we understand. That's your opinion. We thank you for that. For listening, for trying us out. If you'd rather give us a 5-star
When
review,
why don't you give us a 5-star review? I just like when they prompt you to do that.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
I like that, but we never do it.
no, we
Like
just
and
did.
subscribe.
Yep.
But anyway.
All right, well, that's the end of this preview episode. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back for the first of many episodes in this here March 2022. But until then, keep responding. Bye.